This video is about computation with addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, utilizing the calculator to perform basic computations and using order of operations to evaluate an expression. So sometimes our problems are going to have exponents. So when we have an exponent, we can use our calculator to evaluate. So the squared button is going to be above the log key. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down from the second key. So what you're going to do is you're going to type 17 squared, hit enter, and it'll give us our answer of 289. In the next one, we have negative 5 squared, which is going to get us negative 25. And the last one, we have parentheses. So if we see parentheses on the page, we're going to type those parentheses into our calculator, squared, which gets us 25. Now, sometimes we're going to have exponents that are greater than squared, so we need to use a different button. So above the division key is that triangle. So we're going to use that for our exponent. So we have 8 triangle 3, and in the newer calculators, it will put it up as an exponent. In the older calculators, it will just put the caret. Either way, we're going to get the same answer of 512. And then 7 to the 4th is going to get us 2,401. So down here, let's do some more examples. So we have 12 squared, which is 144. We have negative 6 squared, which is negative 36. And we have parenthesis negative 7 squared, which is 49. So sometimes, though, our computations aren't just one thing. There's a bunch of operations in our problem. So when that's the case, we are going to use order of operations in order to solve. So when you are using order of operations, it helps us evaluate the problem in the correct order. So some ways that we can remember order of operations is please excuse my dear Aunt Sally or PEMDAS. So that helps us with our order. The P stands for parentheses. The E stands for exponents. The M is multiply. The D is divide. The A is add. And the S is subtract. Now, if we notice, there's really 4 steps. Parentheses is 1, exponents 1, multiply, divide is a step together, and then add and subtract is a step together. So if we have multiply and divide or add and subtract in the same problem, then we need to perform those operations from left to right. So remember, if you have multiply and divide or add and subtract. So let's look at some examples. In number 4, we have 18 minus 5 plus 6. So the first thing we want to do is do the subtraction because we're going left to right. So 18 minus 5 gets us 13 plus 6. So we would end with 19. In number 5, going left to right because it's add and subtract, we have 19 plus 7, which is 26, minus 4, which gets us 22. In 6 and 7, we have multiply, divide, and add and subtract. So first I'm going to divide in number 6. 28 divided by 7 is 4. And then we're going to multiply with the 6. That gets us 24. In number 7, going left from right, we're going to do 2 times 12, which is 24. And then divide by 3 for a final answer of 8. So remember to always go from left to right if we have the same step for add and subtract or multiply and divide. So let's look at some harder problems. Use order of operations to evaluate the following expression. So number 8, we have 18 divided by parenthesis negative 6 minus 3. So parentheses is going to be our first step. Negative 6 minus 3 is negative 9. So we have 18 divided by negative 9, which will get us negative 2. In number 9, we have 12 plus 3 squared times 2. There are no parentheses, so the next step is exponents, which we have one of. 3 squared, remember, is just 3 times 3, so that gets us 9. So we have 12 plus 9 times 2. Next step, we're looking for multiply and divide, so we have a multiplying. 9 times 2 is 18, so we have 12 plus 18. So our final step, we can add those together and get 30. In number 10, we have 6 plus 4 divided by 2 minus 3. So there are no parentheses or exponents, so we're going to move to multiply and divide. We do have a division. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. So we have 6 plus 2 minus 3. Because we're at our last step of adding and subtracting, we're going to go from left to right. So first we're going to do 6 plus 2, which is 8, minus 3. That gets us 5. In number 11, we have 3 squared minus 28 divided by 4. So there are no parentheses, but there is an exponent. So 3 squared is going to be 9 minus 28 divided by 4. Next, we're going to do the division. So 28 divided by 4 is 7. So we have 9 minus 7, which simplifies to 2. In number 12, we have 2 times the quantity 4 minus 8 squared. So first we're going to do parentheses. But because there's an exponent, after we simplify, we're going to leave that number in the parentheses. So we have 2 times negative 4 squared. Then we're going to do our exponent. Make sure you keep that parentheses around it. So parentheses negative 4 squared gets us 16. So we have 2 times 16, which is 32. In number 13, we have 2 minus 3 times 3 squared. So first we're going to do our exponent, which is 9. So we have 2 minus 3 times 9. Then we're going to multiply. We can keep that minus as a negative. So we have negative 3 times 9, which is negative 27. So 2 minus 27, which gets us negative 25. In number 14, our first step is the parentheses. So we have 8 minus 2, which gets us 6. Divide by 3, that becomes 2. In 15, we have 80 minus parenthesis 8, 2 minus 8. So we're going to do our parenthesis first of 2 minus 8. So we get 80 minus 2 minus 8 is negative 6. If there are 2 negatives in a row, that becomes a plus sign. So it's really 80 plus 6, which would get us 86. In 16, we have 20 divided by 2 plus 9 times 4. So first I'm going to divide. 20 divided by 2 is 10, plus 9 times 4. Then we're going to do our multiplication. So we have 10 plus 36. So when we add those together, we get 46. In 17, our first step here is going to be the parenthesis. So I'm going to rewrite everything else, and I have 9 minus 4, which gets us 5. I'm going to keep that in the parenthesis because of the exponent, and then I'm going to evaluate that. So 5 squared is 25, and because there's no negative, we don't have to worry about that. So we get 20 minus 12 divided by 3 plus 25. Next, we're going to do our division. So 12 divided by 3 is 4. 20 minus 4 plus 25. 20 minus 4 is 16. Plus 25 is going to get us 41. In number 18, our first step is going to be parentheses. So 12 divided by 4 is 3. Because there is no exponent, we can just write it as a 3. So we have 11 plus 3 times 3, because it was 3 times the parenthesis, minus 5 squared times 2 plus 6. Our next step is going to be the exponent, so 5 squared. So we have 11 plus 3 times 3, minus 25 times 2, plus 6. Next, we're going to multiply 3 times 3, 11 plus 9, minus 25 times 2 plus 6. Do our other multiplication. So here we have negative 25 times 2. So that gets 11 plus 9, minus 50 plus 6. So 11 plus 9 gets us 20. And then we're going to do 20 minus 50 to get us negative 30 plus 6. So we end with negative 24. In our last part, there are 2 problems in each column, and we want to figure out what our answer is going to be to figure out which column is larger. So in the first column, we have 9 squared minus 3. Well, 9 squared is 81. Minus 3 would get us 78. In the second column, we have 3 times 5 squared. Well, 5 squared is 25, so we have 3 times 25, which multiplies to 75. Now, if I compare column A to column B, column A has the larger quantity. In number 20, we have 12 plus 3 times 8. So 3 times 8 is 24, so we have 12 plus 24, which gets us 36. In our second column, we have 10 minus 4 squared. Well, 10 minus 4 is 6 squared, which is 36. Because they are the same, that's going to be C. And in our last problem, first we're going to divide. So 50 divided by 5 is 10, times 6 is 60. In our other equation, we are going to subtract first. So 100 minus 53 is 47, plus 13 gets us 60. So again, they are the same.